thanks for joining me for this Benefit One Brand tutorial. I like to do these videos because I feel like every brand has its hits and misses, and these videos are a good way to not only show you how the products work, but at the end give you some little reviews and impressions on exactly how these products worked for me. The look you're going to see today is somewhat neutral on the cheeks and lips, but with kind of a lilac smoky eyes. So here's the tutorial. So for my foundation, I'm going to be using the Some Kinda Gorgeous, and this is a small size. It came in some little palette set that I got. So it looks like this. It's got a real creamy texture, and I'm just going to start dabbing that around my face with my finger. I wanted to use the Oxygen Wow foundation because I do have some of that, but I was just testing the color and it's just so yellow. Whoa. It's interesting, it feels very creamy in the compact, but when you spread it on your face, it has kind of a silky feel. And I'm going to just take this brush from Sigma and blend that in a bit. So this seems like pretty much a medium coverage product. You know, it's not covering up everything, but it really does seem to have like a nice finish on the skin. You know, it seems very skin-like. Next up, I'm taking my Benefit Erase Paste. This is in shade number 2, medium, a really peachy, kind of salmon-y colored concealer. I love using this on dark circles, and I think it's really good if you tend to be really dry around your eye area. This carries with it, I feel like, a lot of extra moisture. So I like to just dab that around with my finger. Any darkness, this can work well on dark spots too. So there we really corrected some discoloration, but for some other areas that I want some concealer for, I have this kit. It's called How to Look the Best at Everything. I have a full review and tutorial just using this. I used up the little foundation that was in there, but there is a Boi-ing Concealer. It has shade 02 and 03. I'm going to be using some of the 02 and just get a little bit of this around my nose to tackle some of the redness there. This is a creamy concealer, but it seems a little more dry overall than the Erase Paste. This concealer can be really full coverage, so I do really like that. And then I'm going to the powder. This is the Stay Flawless powder that's in here, and it can kind of function as a powder foundation. It has quite a bit of coverage. Oops, just lost a little brush. And I have it in the shade I'm as cute as a bunny, honey. And so I'm just going to buff this in, and I'm going to keep it really nice and light over areas where I've done a lot of concealing. This powder is such a nice texture. It just doesn't look powdery at all. It doesn't look dry. I mean, maybe you can vouch for that if you own this product, but I really like this, and once I do use it up in this container, I may just get myself a full size. Next up, I'm using my Hoola Bronzer, and this is something that I depotted. It's right here. It's a matte bronzer, and I depotted that out of the, I think it was the Cabana Glamma kit. I use this as a contour. Oops, got a brush here. Just right in the hollows of the cheeks, you know, the typical contour zones. The spectrum of bronzers that I have, it's definitely darker than like a NYC Sunny, but lighter than something like the Balm's Bahama Mama. Next up, I'm going to do some blush, and I'm actually going to be layering a couple of shades, one for like my primary blush color, and one's going to be a bit of a highlight. So first off, I'm going to Dallas. This is kind of a dusty rose type shade. It's a very neutral color, but I really do like the look that it gives on the cheeks. It gives a little more color than you would expect. So I'm going to go just a little lower on the cheek with this. Kind of just right above where I did my contouring, actually. It's almost a little bit plummy, you know? Next, I'm going to sweep on some of the newest boxed powder, which is called the Rockateur, and I actually have a review specifically on this on my newest channel, Beauty Broadcast Express, which is exclusively reviews, quick reviews daily. It appears that it would have a lot of shine to it. It doesn't come off quite that shiny on the face. It actually comes off really light, not too sparkly. It's also not super colorful. That's why I like using it as a very soft, subtle highlight. Kind of swirling that right on top of everything. Next up, we're going to go to the brows, and I've got a new product here that I got from Sephora. It's called GimMe Brow, and the shade I have is Medium Deep. And this basically says Brow Volumizing Fiber Gel, and it's got a teeny tiny brush like this. My brows are naturally kind of full, but I like using it to brush over the brows because I feel like it evens them out, you know, this one and this one. And it also takes away the need for an extra brow brush or gel to hold them in place, because this really holds your brows in place. The one thing that can be a little tricky is if you've got a specific area that you're trying, like just a small patch maybe, where you're trying to fill in. It can be a little tricky to be totally precise with this, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm going over it and over it, but it's harder to pinpoint that one area. Next up for the eyes, this is actually a kit I've had some requests to do tutorials with, so I'm glad I have it here and can use it in this video. It's the world famous neutrals, and it says this collection is the sexiest nudes ever, and there are different collections you can get. It's got like your little instructions up there. It's got 2 cream products and then 4 powder shadows. The creams are in Bikini Teeny, which is more of a like a shimmery nude, and then Holy Smokes, which is a like charcoal gray. I really want to make this kind of a deep, dusty lilac look for fall, so I'm going to start out with the Holy Smokes base, and I'm just going to get a little bit of that on my finger and use that to prep my lids and just give me a nice deep base. Whoopsie. Thank you, Q-tip. These creams have a pretty thin consistency. They remind me of like my MAC Rubenesque paint pot. So next I'm going to go into this shade called Rain Check, and it is a sort of satin finish purpley shade, almost bordering on plum. It's a little bit deep, but it's very soft and doesn't have a lot of like bold purple color to it. So I'm just going to use this to top off the Holy Smokes cream. It's interesting because the last time I used this kit, I topped the lighter cream shadow with this purple, and much more of the purpley tone will come out. So here we're practically making it plum. Then I'm going to bring some of that shade up into the crease just by flipping my brush around and kind of wedging it in there. And then I'm just going to blend the edges of that with a bare brush. Then as kind of a transition shade, I'm going to take this rose color. It's called Pause for Applause. Get a little bit of that on my fluffy brush, and I'm going to take this just above where we've blended out the purple. And then under the brow, I'm going to go for Milk It. This is a shimmery white. Again, with a fluffy brush, I don't want to pack too much of this shade on, but I'm just going right under the eyebrow. I'm also going to take a little bit of that shade right around my inner corner. Next I'm moving on to eyeliner, and then we'll finish the lower lash line. But I realized for the longest time I've never had a Benefit eyeliner, so I had to order this one. It's the Bad Gal Liner Waterproof, and the shade is Extra Black. So it's just a traditional pencil, and it's got a little smudger tip there. So I'm going to take this across my upper lash line. Just starting right here in the innermost corner. It's not the smoothest eyeliner I've ever used, and I kind of have to build up the blackness a little bit. Kind of getting in here on the upper inner rim, right in between those lashes. I'm going to use some of this liner on my lower inner rim as well. Just go from the outside to the inside there. And then for a really smudgy look, I'm going to also just kind of dot it, getting it right in there in between the lashes. Mainly here on the outer part. And then I want to tie the purple shade back in again. So I'm going to get some of that on a smudge brush here and just overlap. And I'm just adding a little bit more here of the purple to the crease. Next up, I'm just going to curl the lashes, and I'm using They're Real mascara. I just have like a sample size. It's got bristles all over this part of the wand, obviously, and then also around the tip as well. And I do have a full review on this, which I'll link to below. I'll link to any related Benefit videos that might give you extra information on some of these things. And this is instantly building a lot of length for me, which I of course like, and it's pretty good about separating as well. In my experience with this mascara, you know, you can build it up, but it kind of only goes so far. Like, the lashes can start to look a little funky if you do just keep layering and layering the product on top. So a couple of coats seems to work well. I'm going to put a little on my lower lashes too. For my lips, I want a little bit of color, but I still want to keep it somewhat neutral, so I'm using the Sugarbomb, and it's the Ultra Plush Lip Gloss. So this is a squeeze tube style, and it does have a pretty amount of shine. The scent on this is kind of like sweet and fruity. I'm seeing a lot of my natural lip color through it, but you are getting some shine and just maybe a little bit of like a metallic finish even. So thanks for watching my tutorial. Now I just want to pass along some little reviews on the things that I use. And I'm pretty sure I didn't have the camera rolling when I was putting on my Porefessional. This is a primer that can kind of minimize your pores, kind of pat it in, and it fills in those areas and creates just a smoother canvas for your skin. I love the texture of this. As far as minimizing the appearance of pores, I don't really contend with giant pores. That's not a huge problem area for me, but I have heard from people who say this really does work for them. One thing I just love is the texture of this. It's not too heavy, but it does feel really silky smooth and evens out just the whole texture of your skin so your foundation can go on more smoothly. So I really like this. The foundation that I used was the Some Kind of Gorgeous, and this is a cream foundation. Nothing outstanding here. I really am not a huge fan of the smell of this either. It smells kind of like almost a clay or some sort of art supplies or something. I feel like there are plenty of other foundations that can give you better coverage and just as nice of a finish on the skin. Love, love, love my erase paste. This is a really great product, particularly if you have dark circles that are a bluish tone that you really want to color correct. This salmony peachy shade will work well for you. Also, if you are especially dry in your under eye area, this kind of product really adds in some hydration. So if that's not an issue for you, if you feel like you're just oily all around your eyes, this may be too heavy, but for me, I get really dry like in my inner corners, and this works really well under other concealers or even just by itself. Now, Benefit's Boi-ing Concealer, again, I used it in this kit, and I have a full review on this kit if you just want to know how the how to look your best at everything works. But this is not as unique of a concealer as erase paste. You know, it's more just skin tone concealers. Here you've got a couple that you can kind of mix together. They're a little bit thicker, a little bit drier, still very, very good coverage. And I love the Stay Flawless powder. That's what I use just to set everything. I think it's got a really nice silky smooth texture. Doesn't come off on your face looking super powdery at all, so I'm very impressed with that. The Hoola Bronzer does remind me a lot of my Too Faced Chocolate Soleil. I really like both of these bronzers. I don't know if it's something so different and so special that I would specifically seek this out again to repurchase, but it is a nice matte bronzer. As far as the boxed powders go, a while back I did a whole blog review on all the boxed powders that I had, and I've really found these to be very hit and miss. You know, some of the kinds that have multiple shades worked in, I a lot of times feel like those seem very watered down, you know, like not a lot of colors coming off, and the ones with one solid color like Coralista and Dallas I've really enjoyed. I think Dallas is so pretty, and I know it doesn't look all that exciting here in the box, but on the face I feel like it's just the prettiest color, just a great neutral tone blush when you don't want your blush to be too bright or take anything away from like your eyes or your lips. I think this is a great option, so big fan of that one. As far as the Rockateur, as I said, I have a full review on this on my Beauty Broadcast Express channel, but just briefly, I mean, I find that it's not super shimmery on the skin. I think it's very wearable, but I like it mostly as a highlight as opposed to a blush. I don't think as a blush it really gives off that much color. For the brows, this GimMe Brow is a new product, and after messing with this, I've been using this for at least a couple of weeks now. I think it can take the place of a lot of different things in your brow routine if all you really need to do is just thicken them up as a whole, you know, like just go over the whole brow and even it out. If you've got really precise areas where you just need a certain spot filled in, it's a little trickier with this wand to just get in there and do it. Like I've still got a spot I'm not really satisfied with there. I'm gonna try something. This just occurred to me as I was messing with my hair. I was thinking, what if I took an angled brush and just got some of the product on my angled brush and then went in. And that seems to be one way to use this to fill in. I may have gotten too much on the brush though. Oops. I love how this seems to last all day, keep my brows in really the right spot. So it may be something to try if you just want a quick fix for your eyebrows, and there is a lighter shade than this as well. The world famous neutrals. I do have swatches and a little review on this kit and another kit already on my blog. Overall, I mean, I do like the look that I got, but one thing to note is that when I use these cream shadows, if I use them alone, they do not have the major staying power that like a color tattoo does or the Mally shadow sticks. And it hasn't happened every time, but sometimes when I just use this and then the shadow, no primer underneath, I have a little bit of creasing. Just the powder shadows in general, I have some singles. If you like those powder shadows that practically feel creamy, they're so smooth, you know? These don't really have that quality to them like the Lorac shadows do or the ones from the Balm. But they're not bad shadows, and as you can see, the color will pop when you put them on some sort of a base. As far as just the way this kit is put together, it's not bad, but I would really prefer if there was one deeper eyeshadow, even darker than this, because I think this is kind of really practically a mid-tone shade. You know, it gave me some depth, it gave me a lighter look, which I do like, but it would be nice to have the option of having like one nice deep dark, maybe black or, you know, deep plum shadow in this mix. I'm not too impressed with the Bad Gal liner. I felt like I had to go over my lines multiple times, and even now looking at it, it looks like a soft gray. Throughout the course of the day, I notice it losing some intensity as well. I don't notice it completely like rubbing off or smudging down below my eye, but it just doesn't look as black as it did to start, and it's not even starting that black, so not something I'd repurchase. Their Real Mascara is a really good lengthening mascara. If you just want really nice length in just a couple of coats, I think this would be a good one to try. I mean, it's probably one of the better lengthening mascaras that I'm trying. If you have an opportunity to get like a sample size of this to try it out for yourself, I would recommend it. Even in the full size, I think if length is your primary focus for a mascara, it may be worth a shot. These Ultra Plush lip glosses, I just haven't been too fond of because I think they're too sheer. I think for the price that you're gonna pay for one, I wanna see more color coming off of it. With this shade, I mean, I'm really seeing my natural lip color here with just some shine on top. They're not super sticky. In fact, they have very, very little stickiness to them to the point where they're not really gonna last very long. Definitely no left behind staining effect from these either. So how's that for some hits and misses? I would say my ultimate favorite things that I've used from this line are Erase Paste. That might be my #1. I also am really impressed by the Stay Flawless powder. I really think this is a cool multi-purpose brow product that I think a lot of people would enjoy. I think their Real is a great lengthening mascara, you can't deny that, and I am a big fan of the Dallas boxed powder. And the things I probably liked the least were the Bad Gal liner and the lip gloss. So thanks for watching this one brand tutorial. I go every other one, so this was a high-end brand. The next one will be drugstore. Thank you so much for your great requests, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!